We've got some interesting reports coming out there recently about Patrick Williams and DeMar DeRozan and how they might stay with the Chicago Bulls, and it seems very likely this offseason. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, and this is Rico Greenhowe. And before we get into it there today, we just want to say that about 80% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you aren't already subscribed, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and every single time we upload, you'll be able to stay up to date with our takes on your Chicago Bulls and all the news you need to know on them. So without further ado, we'll get in that topic there today, being more of the same for next year. Not exactly what Bulls fans want to hear. Hey, Rico?
Not at all. I mean, I'm supremely disappointed at this point in time. And I think this kind of leads into a lot of what we were talking about last time here, where as Chicago Bulls fans, we're extremely frustrated. And it is really starting to now be evident that it really is the front office. And we don't care who coaches the team at this point in time. The fact that the team is already looking to pretty much essentially run it back. They don't have any major plans of making any type of moves that we know of as far as trades or anything like that. Very disappointing right now as far as knowing that they're actually looking to run it back with the two players mentioned. One, I can agree with, the other one, not so much.
100%, 100%. And this one was actually from Sports Illustrated from Stephen Beslick, saying the Chicago Bulls are expected to retain DeMar DeRozan and Patrick Williams this offseason. It's likely the Bulls will look the same this offseason. Fans clamoring for the Chicago Bulls to make some changes to their roster this offseason may be better off tempering their expectations. According to a recent report by Greg Swartz of Bleacher Report, it seems likely that the Bulls will stick with their current core and re-sign both DeMar DeRozan and Patrick Williams. And that leads to more of the same. The most used term during Arturas Karnisovas' regime as the Bulls' chief basketball executive has been continuity, and from what experts surmise, the trend will continue this offseason. So not exactly what Bulls fans want to hear, as they've been stuck in kind of this like mediocrity. I mean, you're hoping for Lonzo Ball to come back, I understand, but it's hard to hope for a guy coming off a big injury to make an instant huge impact. And if they're going to sign back some pieces that, DeMar obviously has been very quintessential to the team this year, but when you look at Patrick Williams with the injuries and how he struggled early on, not maybe the best look, eh?
Yeah, I mean, with Patrick Williams, and here's the one thing that is very frustrating about this. Here's a guy that, again, I've talked about it before. He has the potential to be something like a Kawhi Leonard and then also to Scotty Barnes combined. But we just have not got a big enough sample size to say that this is going to be our guy. And I understand where the front office is coming from. Look, we took a chance with Kobe White. I believe he had like about 5 million or so left on his rookie deal or whatever the case may be. We went ahead, made that $33 million offer, which is probably going to turn into $40 million. And when you look at it with what's going on with Kobe White, he absolutely is probably overperformed what he is signed for. Now, with Patrick White, here's a guy that it's just been very disappointing. He hasn't been able to stay on the floor. The consistency as far as on the defensive end and shooting the basketball hasn't been there. And I'm hearing that he actually wants to request something upward to about $20 million per season. I just can't see that realistically that we would actually go out here and spend this type of money for Patrick Williams. And if we do, it further drives home the point that the front office for the Chicago Bulls are delusional on that, and they have absolutely no just insight as to what it is going to take to become a championship team.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it also says here next in the article that running it back seems to be a theme for the 28 and 31 Bulls, a strategy that could continue this summer with DeMar DeRozan and Patrick Williams. DeRozan, who's playing in the final year of the 3-year pact he signed with the Bulls, has previously indicated he's happy in Chicago and is willing to return if his representatives and the franchise come to a suitable agreement. Swartz explained that this may be best for the veteran wingman. And it could be, but we heard earlier on the year that the two sides were on completely different sides of the coin. DeMar DeRozan seemed like he wanted maybe an extended deal at high money. Maybe the Bulls don't see him being the player that he is right now for more than like 2, maybe 3 years. And if he were to want a deal maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe not the smartest idea unless it was maybe a team option.
I think that definitely the team has got to lead a little bit more into the team option to protect itself. Now, I don't want to take any away from DeMar DeRozan. I mean, he looked fabulous in the last contest that we actually looked at. I believe against the Kings, he scored something like 19 points of his 33 in the fourth. So the guy can still score at a high clip, and the guy is a mid-range maestro. And I just think that the bottom line is this. For DeRozan, it's also mentioned that he possibly could end up with the 76ers or the Orlando Magics. But what his role would look like is probably not going to look the same as it would be with the Chicago Bulls. Bottom line is, I think he likes the fact that he's here with the Chicago Bulls. The offense is pretty much tailored towards him. A lot of the younger guys look up to him. And I just think that the bottom line is that we cannot pay him a whole bunch of money and expect that we're going to make drastic roster updates. That's just the bottom line. We cannot put the bag into DeMar DeRozan or even Patrick Williams, really, for that matter, and then say, hey, we're going to build a championship roster around that. We're going to have to evenly kind of push that out. And so that is going to be the biggest question is, could DeMar take a player option or something that's not going to be as lengthy probably in the years, and probably something to where we could wiggle out of this thing and possibly get a trade or something like that if need be, if he declines with his play.
Yeah, and I mean, some things people talk about how the 3-point shot hasn't been what DeMar likes to go to, and the Bulls aren't a great 3-point shooting team. But now with Batum, and even if Funk were able to develop, I think they're leaning in the right direction there. You need to put some more 3-point shooters around this guy. It's not always about, like, who is the best player box score wise. It's also about who fits the best next to these guys. So that should be really important for the Bulls as well.
Now, I think DeMar DeRozan would be successful, okay? Especially if he's playing with shooters like that. And so if we can get some guys that can come in, either vets or rookies that can knock down jump shots efficiently, let's not take anything away from DeMar DeRozan. He is a closer. Okay, you can't find closers like DeMar DeRozan in the league where they can take you home like that. That's why you want to keep a guy like DeMar DeRozan. But I certainly understand he wants to get paid. And I mean, it looks like he's willing to possibly give up championship aspirations. But if we're trying to build towards championship aspirations, that means as this franchise, we can't spend a whole bunch on one player.
100%. Yeah. And that leads us in this next quote here by Swartz of Bleacher Report saying, DeRozan staying in Chicago is reasonable given his lack of fits among teams with cap space. Outside of the 76ers and Magic, making a push for the former All-Star, DeRozan's best chance to get paid again could come from the Bulls. And that really touches on what you just said there, Rico, which leads us into Patrick Williams as a restricted free agent. On the other hand, Williams is a restricted free agent who had hoped to secure a hefty bag before foot surgery sidelined him for the remainder of the season. With this development in mind, it's hard to envision another team paying big bucks for the former 4th overall pick in the 2020 draft. Williams is a restricted free agent, and it's tough to imagine any team throwing a big enough offer sheet that Chicago wouldn't match while we're still waiting on a breakout season from the 22-year-old. The Bulls are likely banking on Williams simply being a late bloomer, a la Kobe White, Swartz remarked. Even though we are all expecting big changes after Chicago began the season 5-14, this Bulls roster could look quite similar next year as well, which is not exactly what Bulls fans want to hear at all.
It's extremely frustrating. And I think that there was even a moment in time where Patrick Williams actually was shelved. He was put on the bench, actually. And I think Billy Donovan was actually trying to find a rotation. And that's not good, especially when you're looking to possibly pay a guy like this. Now, I know essentially this did happen to Kobe White, and Kobe White responded well. And what I will say about Kobe White is he really bet on himself. When you look at that 2019 draft, Zion Williams, Ja Morant, they got $200 million. Okay. And then we're looking at the 13th pick overall, which I believe was Tyler Hero and Jordan Poole, who was 28th in that draft. They both had 150 or 146 million, somewhere in there. I have to look at the numbers. But the fact that Kobe White has taken a chance on himself, and obviously I think he's headed to big, big money here, moving on forward for the next couple of years here. I think that that's evident here. So that really is going to, I think, limit the Chicago Bulls in saying, hey, do we want to pay a guy like Patrick Williams who, honestly speaking, I'm not sure if he's going to turn the corner like that. And when I say that, I don't know from a mindset situation if I truly believe in Patrick Williams. I don't see that same kind of grit, that same type of dog that I've seen in Kobe White. And that's the one thing that I will say in viewing him in the summer league and watching some of his games. It seems like sometimes his palette light's not lit. And I'm not sure if we want to pay a player that maybe is not all the way engaged and he hasn't been able to stay on the court as well.
Yeah, and it's been a lack of aggressiveness really for Patrick Williams since he came in the league. I mean, you'll see him show flashes of being a guy that can create his own shot. You saw him, he was very efficient from three the last couple of years, but then when we go to this year, he's not efficient and he's not aggressive, and even the defense took a little bit of a dip. And it could have to do with some of the injuries that he was trying to fight through, but it is definitely something to consider now that he's out for the remainder of the season for the Bulls front office to really try to give this guy some more money than Kobe White is really something I don't think they're going to want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anybody in the league right now at this point in time that the Chicago Bulls could convince and say, hey, we're going to give Patrick Williams the bag and we're going to give him more than what Kobe White is going to get. That's just ridiculous because you and I think are in agreement that Kobe White is probably going to be the most improved player of the year. Like I can't see anybody else that has made a dramatic shift in his game like Kobe White. He took it all the way serious here, coming back. And remember, there was a chance that we weren't sure if Kobe White was even going to be a starter. We had signed Javon Carter, and we are thinking maybe that's going to be the starter, right? And then it was like maybe it's going to be Ayo, right? And then for Kobe White to perform this way, I just don't put Patrick Williams basically with that as a player. And again, there's just too much of a sample size where I'm not seeing the consistency here. I mean, there hasn't been really anything that shows me that I'm going to pay him the money. And like you said, I mean, for the fourth pick in the draft when we got him, you're looking to be a starter. You're not looking to be inserted into the lineup and then be benched and then kind of go back and forth, which is what we've got from Patrick Williams. Like we're looking for a guy that we were thinking is going to take the keys to the car, so to speak, and he hasn't done that. And I'm not sure if there's any situation where he's going to do that. I think that we're looking at a guy that perhaps just like he was when he came into college, he's going to be a sixth man. And that's one thing that we have to understand. When we got him, he was the sixth man coming out of college, right? He was the ACC best sixth man of the year. And I think that that's maybe what his role might be in the NBA. So to pay him starter money, I don't think that that's going to be smart for Chicago, especially if they need to basically go out here and grab some vets to go around DeRozan and Kobe White.
Yeah, and I think Patrick Williams has been given almost too many chances and opportunities at this point to show who he really is, and he hasn't proved that he's able to play those starter minutes, really play down the stretch, and really be able to be an important piece for the Bulls if they make a huge playoff run. Now, DeMar DeRozan, on the other hand, I do think I like to compare him to Vince Carter in the sense a little bit more. He can still score a lot more than Vince could at this age, but he's not going to be willing to sign with a contender, I don't think. I think he's going to want to make the biggest contribution he can to any team in the league, which is really nice to see out of a player, just not trying to sign, chase that chip, and really still try to make a important contribution to any team he can in the league. And that
Yeah, go ahead. You got it.
oh no, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say I agree with you, Joey, man, 100%. So I agree with you 100%.
Cool, cool. And that leaves a lot for all the viewers to think about there. Let us know what you thought about that down below in the comment section below. A few things to think about both those players. Would we like to keep both? Do you think maybe DeRozan or Patrick Williams? Does everybody think about that down below? We've given our takes here, so let us know down in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next one. Sign out.